Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah, Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir wa tamim bil khair, wa bika nasta'in ya fatah, Rabbi shrah sadri wa yassir li amri, wa ahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Umar radiallahu an, he had a narration where he was talking to the Qurra, to those that recite the Quran. And he said, Ya ma'ashar al-Qurra, that all those individuals who often recite the Quran, make sure you lift your heads up. When you walk around, keep your head up high. Why? Because the path has been laid for you. Meaning, you have the greatest blessing that could be given to anybody, which is the ni'mah of being able to recite the Quran. So that path that you're on is the most blessed of paths that anybody can be on. It's been laid down for you. So advance towards good. And do not become dependent upon people. Do not become dependent upon people. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has within our deen, and this is obviously he's addressing the Qurra, but this is applicable to all Muslims as well, that when we are in need for anything, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses a colleague, a co-worker, a friend, a relative as a means of assistance, and so be it. But it should not come to your mind that, oh, I need him to finish this action. I need her to be able to complete this task. The mindset of the Muslim is that we do not depend on anybody besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't show our dependency on anyone besides Allah. Wallahu al-ghani wa antumul fuqara, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who is completely independent. Everything besides Allah is dependent. Everything. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us such a azma, such a high rank and a high station, high maqam, where we cannot, degrade ourselves, especially when it comes to non-Muslims. When we're at office, when we're in the corporate world, and somebody might say something against the deen, might say something against our religion, that's on us. You're the individual, you are the da'i at that time. You need to step up and defend your faith in whatever means possible, whatever capacity that you have. Not everybody is a spokesperson. Not everybody can do da'wah through the tongue. But at least through your actions, at least through other means, whatever you see fit at that time, you need to do something though. Something has to be done. And that's why Umar radiallahu anh is stressing this point of lifting your heads up. Lifting your heads up and walking up with not arrogance, but something that you have that the other folks don't have. You should be proud of that, because it doesn't matter how high of a maqam that non-Muslim has in terms of the corporate world. They don't have iman. Their maqam is zero. Their station is zero. It's only through that ticket of iman that you can actually get anywhere in the next life. Without this ticket of iman, you're not getting anywhere. Doesn't matter how many good deeds you may have done. So you're not doing the action. You're not doing the beautiful deed, the amal salih, for the sake of that person. You're doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No, you're still doing it for the sake of Allah. When it comes time to step up as a Muslim, we need to do that. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anh, he stated, talking about the individuals who recite the Quran, who bear the Quran, Hamid al-Quran, that the bearer of the Quran should be known how he spends his night when the people are sleeping, by his day when people are awake. by his sadness when people are joyous, by his weeping when people are laughing, by his silence when people are engrossed in conversation, and by his fear when people are arrogant. So you don't just follow the flow. Oh, that what they're doing, okay, well, we'll do the same thing. What those non-Muslims, how they act, how they react to, a tragedy, or how they react to a blessing, there should be something different from you as the Muslim. And even more from you as the individual who recites the Quran and reads the Quran and tries to understand the Quran. There has to be some type of change. If there's no change, then we have to check ourselves. We need to check ourselves. There has to be some differentiation between us and the non-Muslim, between the person who recites the Quran versus the individual who does not recite the Quran. If the individual who recites the Quran, if their akhlaq is worse than the individual who does not recite the Quran, then something's up with us. Nothing's deficient with the Quran. That's the kalam of Allah. That's the kalam of Allah. If we as in musallis, we come to the masjid on a regular basis, and our akhlaq is much lower than the individuals who don't even come to the masjid, then why would the individuals who don't come to the masjid, why would they even want to come? They don't want to act like us then. They don't want to be like that individual, like, oh, he's a quote unquote righteous person. But look at his character. Look at his character, or look at her character. Hasan al-Basri, rahmatullahi alayhi, he said that the people before you, they considered the Quran to be correspondence from their Lord. Yani that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sending messages directly to them. So they would ponder it over the night when nobody would be watching, and during the daytime they would be doing amal of it. They would be practicing upon it. That's how how the ummah, that's how they strive, and that's how they got to the maqam that they got to. You read the Quran, that's beautiful. That's not sufficient though. I'm never gonna come here and stand up here and tell you, are you reading the Quran 5 minutes a day? That's sufficient. Okay, you don't need to do anything else. That is not sufficient. We as Muslims always need to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Rabbi zidni ilma, right? Oh Allah, increase my knowledge. It's not like, oh, alhamdulillah, I memorize Surah Ikhlas, the 4 quls, okay, I can do my Asr Salah, I can do my salawat. No, how can we always increase in that ibadah? Alhamdulillah, we know how to recite the Quran. Okay, let's work on that tajweed. Okay, alhamdulillah, our tajweed is to the point where we can lead the salah or recite, pray the salah. Okay, now let's go on to try to understand what the actual alfaz are. Because otherwise, it's like you have a treasure chest, but you don't have the key to it. You have this beautiful treasure chest, but you don't have the key to it to open it. So it's on us. We all know the hadith, talabul ilmi faridatun ala kulli muslim, that learning the deen is incumbent upon all of us. It's not just upon Hafiz Sahab or Imam Sahab or Maulana Sahab or whatever the individual is. There is an aspect of the deen which is incumbent upon all of us to know. The basic necessities that all of us need to know. When it comes to your aqeedah, when it comes to your fiqh, when it comes to your tafsir, everything. There's a bare minimum that all of us need to know. It doesn't matter what field you go into, whether you become a doctor, engineer, IT professional, whatever the case may be, you still, as a Muslim, you need to be able to function as a Muslim. And if you don't know how to practice your deen on a rudimentary, fundamental level, then you're not going to be able to be a da'i in the West either. No. Fudayl ibn Iyad, he stated that the individual who bears the Quran, they should not need, he started from the high, he said they should not need the Khalifa or any individual less than that person. Why? The Hamilul Quran, the individual who bears the Quran in their heart and they practice upon it and they do amal of it, they are the bearer of the banner of Islam. It all starts with them. It all starts with them. So they should not let anything distract himself with someone who distracts himself. Yani he says that these individuals who are the Hamilul Quran, They should not distract themselves with individuals who just distract themselves with, watching YouTube videos, or just one video after the other, or just binging on Netflix, or whatever the case may be. Just finding ways to just distract myself. I got 3 hours left to fast. Okay, how can I just kill this time? That's not the mindset. And then he continues, he says, nor should they talk nonsense with those who just talk nonsense. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them the best words possible in their heart, which is the correspondence with Allah, which is the Quran. Out of honor for the Quran, don't distract yourself with this nonsense. Out of honor for the Quran, don't bring your phone to you while you're in the masjid. Let me just check my messages while I'm reciting Quran, or let me just listen to the Quran just as I'm driving. That's the only time I'll listen to it. That's the only time I'll connect with it. That's not showing honor to the Quran. That's not showing respect to the Quran. And we know that. You all know that. I don't need to mention it, but it's obvious. If you're in a meeting with your boss, and a very important meeting, end of the year, trying to figure out what plans you need to do for the next year, and you're sitting there on your phone, what do you think he's gonna say? What do you think she's gonna say? Oh, great job you're doing. I'm happy you're multitasking at this time. You think that's what they're gonna say? Probably fire you on the spot. Okay. I kick you out of the meeting right there. So mashallah, you all are professionals. You all are well-trained individuals within your field. So we need to be individuals who, we're not going to have somebody watching us the entire time, and in regards to how we are communicating with the kalam of Allah. We hold ourselves accountable, right? We are mukallaf, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. We are mukallaf in our sense. When we became an adult, that taklif, that aspect of burden, became mandatory upon ourselves. The kids are here, mashallah. Your parents don't always need to tell you, hey, beta, you need to go pray, you need to go recite Quran. You know that. Yeah? Once you get older, you realize that this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told me to do. Not just because mom and dad told me I have to pray, that's why I'm going to pray. Oh, it's bigger than mom and dad. Our Islam is bigger than mom and dad. Islam is bigger than anybody. We're doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why we pray. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He only mandated so many things upon us in this dunya. It's only a few things, only a handful. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to fulfill those obligations that He's placed upon us. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.